Hey, what's up guys? John Wick is back and he's battling the high table like you've never seen before. This is the fourth time Reeves has donned the 42 regular and pistols, and what this movie delivers is nothing short of phenomenal. John Wick Chapter 4 is a masterclass in action movie making, so let's get into it. Let's go together. Now, when you're talking about action movie franchises in particular, going bigger and better isn't always easy. There's a constant pressure with each sequel to surpass the last, and it doesn't always work. I mean, look at the Fast and Furious franchise taking cars up into space. John Wick back in 2014 blended gun fu with tight choreography and stunt work with a grounded plot that had a graphic novel vibe to it, and it was awesome. This elaborate world of high-class assassins with a hierarchy and a command and players and rules to all the killing really is brilliant, and Keanu Reeves as John Wick is a match made in heaven. Each of these movies has taken things to higher levels. They've each brought in new characters. They've each explored more of this assassin underworld while also bringing in characters to give more foundation to the mysterious past of John Wick. And I must say, John Wick in its fourth chapter is able to continue this to supreme levels, and it results in a 3-hour action bonanza that feels like 90 minutes. First, let's get into the story and the characters before closing with the action. Now, this plot is nicely able to continue the flow of past movies. More layering and more dynamics to the methods of the high table are woven in as well. More of the characters are connected to John Wick's past, which exposes more layering to Wick prior to the first film that had remained a mystery up until this point. So while this movie is taking you all over the globe to different continental hotels and exotic locations and fancy nightclubs where it's raining inside and other lavish locales as John Wick embarks on his mission, there is compelling substance to chew on during the quiet moments between all the goosebump-inducing action throughout this film. There's also some nicely timed spots of levity to break the mood, so overall this movie has a great, engaging, emotional flow to it. Now let's talk characters. Of course, all the familiars are back. Ian McShane's Winston, Lawrence Fishburne's Bowery King are in the middle of things in this movie. Lance Reddick's Sharon is back as well, and rest in peace to Lance Reddick. It's such a sad thing to lose somebody so young and seemingly in good health. It's tragic for his family and his friends, and he certainly will be missed. Now, as for the newcomers, I think this is where John Wick 4 shines because I thought the supporting cast was fantastic. Shamir Anderson as the Tracker is the perfect wild card for this story, who has his trusty dog with him. The Tracker is a cool and mysterious character, and his cat and mouse posturing with essentially everybody in this movie was amusing. Hiroyuki Sanada as Koji, the manager of the Osaka Continental, was a great addition as well in both the story and the action, and Rita Sawayama as his daughter Akira was as well, and she has some vicious skills when she's taking dudes out early on in this movie. I think Bill Skarsgård was an excellent villain. I think he would maybe be the most effective villain to date in this franchise. He's constantly draped in immaculate suits, and his demeanor just makes you feel uneasy. He looks like he has this controlled rage, and I think Skarsgård really took this character, he made it his own and ran with it, much like Donnie Yen did as Kane, the blind high-table assassin and old friend of John Wick. I think Donnie Yen really was the bright spot in the character pool, for me at least, outside of John Wick, of course. I just loved him in this role overall. Of course, he's doing what he does best in the action sequences, but really for me, it was the quieter moments with his character and learning about his past and his daughter and his connection to Wick, and just his performance overall was really just unassumingly kind of the backbone to this entire movie. And of course, last but certainly not least, bravo to Keanu Reeves, who is just once again world class as John Wick, from the performance side to the stunt work side. He is this character is him, so he's rock solid once again as this broken man that's essentially a killing machine. Now let's get into the action, because damn, this movie really is non-stop. There are so many intricately crafted, long action set pieces that are just a thrill to see. The choreography is creative, it's inventive with different styles, different takedowns, and different weapons. The camera work is mesmerizing as it flows in and around the bloody carnage like you're in the middle of all this frenetic violence. Wick's on a horse, of course he's in his car, he has his pistols, his blades, nunchucks, and the ambition narration overall and the execution of the action in this movie is just top tier. I think there are easily 4 sequences that could be the finale in any great action movie. The showdown at the Osaka Continental was just a neon-infused thrill ride. The sequence in the nightclub was just savage as axes and house music is tossed into the mix. There's a car sequence at that fancy location in France that I don't know the name of that feels like a John Wick version of Frogger, and it was just a feast of chaos and comical carnage. There's another sequence with Wick wielding a shotgun filled with incendiary rounds. It's filmed from top down, and the flow and the velocity of the killing in this sequence to me was the most memorable part of this movie. But there's also another stair sequence that is so well done, and how it's worked into the narrative is really just the chef's kiss for this movie. Now, on the downside, it's nitpicky, maybe a little bit more from Lawrence Fishburne. He felt a bit wasted. I felt like a little bit more from Akira would have been cool as well, because what she does deliver in this movie was absolutely fantastic, and I maybe would have dialed back the style just a skosh. I mean, I know it's a hyper reality or a hyper reality, but having people still dancing at the club while an axe fight is taking place around them was a bit much. But I mean, outside of that, this was nearly a flawless movie. Its hindrances are nitpicky because I had such a blast watching this one on the big screen with all these people around me. It's been a while since I was so locked in and engaged with the movie like I was with this one. So I'm going to give John Wick Chapter 4 a well-rounded A. So go see this movie as soon as possible. I left the cinema with a huge smile on my face. It's well-rounded, it's inventive, it's ambitious, it's loaded with gratuitous violence that you're gonna love, and I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review of John Wick Chapter 4, and until my next video, movies never say die.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?